Morning, Babbers! Welcome back to Warblins from the West Country. I'm Richard Knight, and over there on the other screen, depends which way you sat, is Ryan Uxtable. Ryan, how are you doing?
I'm all right, me Babber. I'm all right. This is, did you know, Richard, this is number 13, so this will be unlucky for some.
It is unlucky for some. Well, it's unlucky for the person you were interviewing, obviously.
John Harvey needs no luck. That man, he oozes luck as he connects people across our fair region.
I recollect you saying that it was John Harvey from Samphire Club you were going to interview in the last episode. You mentioned him briefly, so yeah, you chatted to him this week, yeah?
Yeah, so I chatted to John. John will get to the recording in a minute, but John, as I've already alluded to, is set up the Samphire Club. It's a private networking club that businesses join, but it's really unique the way he does it. He's a real taskmaster at getting people and connections talking to each other, and he does it in a really soft, engaging, non-salesy way. He is a real taskmaster at networking. So I was keen to talk to him, Rich, because I wanted to understand how he felt and what he felt and how he felt networking was part of the key to getting businesses back up on their feet. But he does it in a very unique way. He really focuses on experience. He really focuses on his clients' customers, and he thinks of his clients as customers. So he's buying his clients gifts as a thank you for being true to him during the COVID period. He's bought some of our COVID checkers for a couple of his big businesses as a thank you.
Shall we hear it?
Yeah, let's.
Okay.
Well, good morning, John, and thank you for joining my warble on this interesting blustery morning. Where are you today, John? Because you're a bit of a globetrotter, even in these dark times. I know you've been out and about in the region. So where are you?
I am back at base. I'm in Padstow, where I've got to tell you this morning it is very grey, it's very windy, and it's cold.
That's not normally the pictures we see from sunny Padstow, from your abode there, but we'll do our very best to get through this without you getting blown away. So, John, look, thank you for joining me, as I said. John, tell our listeners and our viewers on our YouTube channel, tell them a bit about Samphire and what you do.
Okay, the Samphire Club is a private members organisation for businesses. So it's for organisations and individuals. But it is all about connections. I help them network more effectively. I make the introductions. So I say that I help members make better connections. I also help them make memories, which sounds really cheesy, but if you are at one of the big summer parties or Christmas parties, they will always remember that. It's about the shared experiences as well.
Yeah, and John, I mean, Insight 6 have been a member now for getting on for 12 months when I think I've first met you, and we love being members of Samphire because I think one of the benefits, particularly during lockdown, for me as a member of Samphire, has been, and I love the way you call the Samphire members your tribe, has been able to interact and chat to the tribe and get the inspiration for trying, stuff that's new, that's outside of my organisation. And I know that's a real focus for you, isn't it?
Absolutely. The ethos of the club is very much about sharing and collaboration. So as members, I tell them to share their knowledge, share their expertise, and share their contacts, but without any of the keeping score attitude. It's like, you don't expect necessarily to get anything back, but it will always come around. But it has developed into this community now, because it's 5 years old, where people get that and they genuinely do. A lot of the collaborations I hear about afterwards, sometimes I don't hear about it for ages. And they'll go, no, John, you introduced us years ago, but we're working together now. That makes me happy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I know, speaking from our own personal perspective, we picked up some great work just by chatting to people. So it's always a pleasure. But anyway, on to why we want to talk to you, because you are an absolute font of knowledge when it comes to networking, and I know our listeners will really benefit from the next 10, 12 minutes of listening to you and watching you. So how's it been? How has this crisis been for Samphire and you personally? What's it done to your business?
It's made it change. So at the beginning, when lockdown started, I normally have a full calendar of live events. So I operate in Bristol down to Cornwall. And obviously those all got canned. There was that initial period, first couple of days of, I mean, genuine shock. What does one do? I deliberately didn't take all my events online because I figured that everyone else would do that. And I wanted to think, and everybody who knows me knows I'm not the greatest fan of tech anyway. So, but one of the revelations has been Zoom. And I now drop in and out of calls all the time. But I do now have a weekly Samphire Zoom call. It's always on a Friday. It is normally lunchtime. It's just an hour, and people drop in, chat, catch up. Sometimes we have a theme, very rarely. And on the last Friday of the month, so we've just had it, we have the Samphire evening drinks that starts at 8, and I normally bail at about midnight, but I know it goes on till 2, 3 in the morning for the hardcore. Again, driven by the members. They asked for it, they love it, so that's what they get. One thing I will point out, though, from a networking point of view, the great thing about Zoom is I can look at a screen and see, 28 people, 30 people on a call, but they're from across the region. So to do a live event, I'm very rarely going to get the Bristol members and the Cornwall members in the same room. It's unlikely, but they are all on a Zoom call, and I can sit there and make the instructions and go, guys, you need to talk to the Bristol guys. If you want help in Bristol, they're on the call. Link up with them afterwards. You're all in the same thing. You're all in the tribe. Look after each other. That's been a revelation to me. And I will keep Zoom going after we're allowed to meet again.
That's a really that is a great share, John, in terms of, because thinking about that logically, my patch, as covers huge geography, Devon and Cornwall, bigger again. And actually, sometimes I really struggle to, get to your events in Truro or in Plymouth or in Exeter or wherever they are. And I know you started your Torbay events as well. But actually, that whole piece around being connected through Zoom and sharing even more of the expertise that sits within the tribe, I think has certainly been a revelation for us in terms of being able to contact clients quicker. But I've never even really thought about the power of that for networking. So that's a brilliant share. So that kind of talks to how networking has changed. Have you got any specific top tips within how to use that technology, or what are your thoughts coming out of this in terms of how you're planning to run your networking events going forward as we come out of lockdown?
Okay, when we come out, observations, I think there is an overpowering desire to see people in the flesh. I spent last week in Somerset, so I actually did go and travel, and I caught up with various people, and it's lovely to see them and have a cup of coffee. It's weird not being able to touch them. Instinctively you're sticking your hand out and then you have to bring it back in again. But there will be this huge desire to see, because as good as Zoom is, and if you've got a group call, one thing as a host you cannot do is you can't feel the room. You can see it, but you can't feel it, and that's very nuanced. But equally, will I keep? But Zoom has changed everybody's life, or Slack, or Team, whatever you're using. It's efficient. And in the past, if individual members wanted to catch up with me and shoot the breeze, or they had a problem they want to discuss, they would have to book an appointment to come and see me at the hotel van. But they don't have to do that anymore. They can just send me a message going, John, can we fix a Zoom call? Neither of us have to travel. So it's horribly efficient in many ways.
Yeah. And there's the other impacts as well. Certainly we found that, by me networking, and keeping in contact with my clients, the environmental impact that's having with me not getting in the car and driving to Truro or Barnstable or wherever, has had a massive. It makes me feel better about what I'm doing as well. So I think that's a brilliant build. So John, going forward, yes, this desire to meet will obviously happen, and we know that that's going to be great when it does. But there's still a place for Zoom. What are your top tips now at the moment as businesses? Business leaders will be listening to this, and I'm sure networking and reaching out and trying to generate leads and sales. in the past was much easier than it is now. What are your top tips for those businesses now to really get back on the horse of networking, to really help grow their businesses back out of where we are?
I think if and when we are allowed to network again face to face, and this is a fundamental for everybody from me for networking, is most businesses don't network strategically, which is why they don't get very much back from it, and then they get frustrated. So they need help with strategy. Equally, from a company point of view, that I say to startups, all big companies, if you haven't got a mailing list, why the hell not? I put out a weekly email. I always have done on a Sunday night, but in lockdown, that is being probably read more because it keeps everybody together. And that is how you communicate with your community, your tribe. My mailing list goes out to a far bigger demographic than my members. It probably goes out to about 6,000 people. So that's how you communicate, and it doesn't cost anything apart from the writing of. Again, if you haven't got a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group or a LinkedIn group, why not? Interestingly, the Samphire Club WhatsApp group was pretty dormant, and since lockdown, it has gone through the roof. It is another safe space where they can all go and talk to each other. I don't have to be involved. I dip in and out of it, and I keep an eye on it. But it's this, I think, and the way that certain, your local streets, I know you know your neighbour anyway, but streets have come together, villages have come together. All it has reinforced this. You need a sense of community.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? Because one of the things I noticed in when we went into this was LinkedIn became a wash, particularly LinkedIn and Twitter became a wash of people wanting to reach out and help, and again, I saw that on the Samphire WhatsApp as well, where people were really keen to, help people get through this, and the sense I've seen, I saw a couple of posts last week on LinkedIn around the tone had changed, and people had kind of moved to this, right, it's back to normal, businesses opening up, but I don't sense that we are back to normal. I sense to your point you made around wanting to reach out, and you can't physically engage with people at the moment as you would like to. You can't just jump in the car and go to a coffee shop. Yes, we will. Yes, when this goes out, we will be able to, but under very, very different circumstances. So I love you. I've written down 4 tips there. So be strategic. I think never more has that been important. Don't waste time on this kind of blanket approach. I love your mailing list point, and when you shared that with me a few weeks ago, I went back to look at my mailing list and Insight 6 around who would benefit from hearing about great customer experience tips.
Answer everybody.
Yeah, love it. I love the WhatsApp group. I think that's great. And this opportunity to one question I'm interested in though, John, how have you looked after your clients, members what have you done for them? What innovative different things have you done to keep them engaged? I know you talked about your end of month drinks and all that.
One very simple little tip that takes no time at all is just take 5 or 6 clients or members or whatever it is every day, and you don't talk to them, you just send them a WhatsApp voicemail.
Yeah,
literally just drop them a voicemail, and it's very quick. Mine will be something like, Lord Samphire here, just checking in, making sure you're still there. If you need me, call me. That's all it is. It's a little touch out, reach out. Brightens up the idea being they feel wanted, they feel appreciated, and hopefully it makes them smile. And that's the other reason behind I do a weekly, on a Monday morning, I do a video message, which started out, funny enough, like most things, started as a joke. But then everyone said, John, we really love it. Can you keep doing it? So most of the stuff that I do is suggested or asked for by people rather than
you talked about this experience thing there as well, John, didn't you? And customer experience, client experience is all about memories, as you mentioned earlier, and Rich and I have warbled a lot about this during the COVID lockdown, and it's the little big things that make the difference, and you've just described a couple there. But I also love the fact that you buy your clients gifts as well as a little thank you for being members.
On that very note, yes, I do. And the COVID checker that you guys have introduced. Now, and I know that I'm purchasing a couple of those, one to be decided, but I could sell those or saying monetize them, but I'm gifting those to members. It's a way of saying thank you. Something else I've decided to introduce since lockdown started, because I have completely re-examined my business model, and I've always wanted a way of saying thank you when people renew. And somebody renewed last week, and they won't be listening to this, I don't think. They're going to receive a little gift set of mini Trevethan gins, who are another people I work with. And it doesn't take anything.
No. It's those little big things that make a huge difference to the relationship, don't they?
Yeah,
absolutely. Look, John, it's been an absolute delight as always to talk to you, and thank you for some brilliant shares there today. And principally the message that I know our listeners and viewers, and certainly I'm taking away from this, is get back on that networking horse. Be strategic. Think about your clients. Think about what you're saying, you're doing, how you continue to add value. Those little big things. And it's been a huge joy to talk to you as always. And thanks for your time, John.
Thank you so much for letting me come on. It's always a joy to talk to you.
Thanks, John. Well, what do you think of old Johnny Harvey then?
Oh, looking smooth, isn't he? Hey, look at that. You see, he's chatting away, sitting and listening to him for hours, actually. Lovely chat. I must admit, I was really impressed with his view of networking, because over this lockdown period, I don't know about you, I've sort of popped in out a number of different networking clubs and ways of introducing yourself and getting on, and some work, some don't. Some are very, in your face, you've got to go do this and refer people and so on and so forth. So it was interesting to hear his take in terms of being that sort of step back, that experiential part of interacting with people, and how he's had to, interesting enough, change it. I'm going to use that pivot word again. We haven't spoken about it for ages.
Yeah,
I think it's been banned. He changed the model a bit, didn't he? But he's actually still waiting to get back to the face-to-face thing, and I love the way he talked about it. You don't get the feeling when you're online the same as you do when you're in a room full of people. You get that sense of when you've connected, when you've really gained some sort of common ground, and the fact that you can perhaps work together, or you can suggest things and talk about different things with different people. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, really interesting character.
Yeah, he's a really unique guy, and I'm a member, as you'll have picked up in the piece. But what as a client of John's, what's really interesting is his care for me. The fact that he gives his he's very generous with his time. He does his regular updates. He's got his WhatsApp group, as he said. He does his networking tips on a regular basis. And I don't know about you, Rich, but I find people like John who are energy givers and people who encourage you to think differently. I like spending time around them because I learn a lot, and you're never too late. You're never too old, in my view, to learn. John has a unique way of doing that, actually. And the other thing I thought was interesting was when he started to talk about how Zoom has changed how accessible he is, and I remember a really interesting story where I was going to meet him for the first time in the Hotel de Van in Exeter, and it was lovely when I got there, but it was just stressful getting there, fighting through the extra traffic, parking, it was tipping with rain, I think, on the day. And, his view was, there's still a place for that. But the ability now to be able to access him through these modern mediums, these technical mediums that, by his own admission, he's not an expert at, but he's really got used to using them. I think again takes that whole networking piece to a whole new level, doesn't it?
It's interesting because it gives that choice, doesn't it? And we talk about that a lot in terms of customers and how they interact with your business. Give them choice, because everybody's going to be different. Somebody may absolutely not want to bother with this Zoom thing, and that's some of the reasons why they're probably not listening to us now. But there's some lovely people out there who are, because they appreciate that. And some of them are watching our delightfully gorgeous faces on YouTube, and some of us are just listening to our dulcet tones on Spotify and Apple. But it's a choice thing, and that is critical from customer experience these days. There is the ability to have choice. So you enable people to have that choice, and they will interact in the way that they want to a higher level. But also, you've got to remember as well, and this is where his networking strategy piece came in, customers have a choice to go somewhere else. And if you don't look after them, somebody else will. That old quote goes. So clearly sounds like John looking after his customers, his clients, in the way that enables them to gain a lot from the relationship, but also he's encouraging to say, well, what's your strategy? Who is it you need to get to see? Why are you networking? What is it you want to get out of it? And it might be networking is I need an experience of where I'm literally just getting people to see my logo. Literally, we're doing networking because I want them to see Inside Six everywhere, whatever it is. Or actually, no, I've got a specific person I need to speak to, or a specific area or sector I need to get into. And I think that's something we do miss some of the time when we're networking. So I really enjoyed John's interview. Is he up for a little bit of a live chat as well, I hear you say? It might be possible.
TT'd me up brilliantly. So this is episode 13, isn't it? And I think we've got one more of these recorded ones. I think then in episode 15, there's a bit of a celebratoire, as they like to say, across the channel.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do a bit of a live warble. How about that?
That's good. I think it's going to be great. So John's going to join us.
John's going to join us. Yeah, I think we've got some. Yeah, we won't spoil it by giving away the whole shooting break of who we're going to get on. But we're gonna have a bit of a warble and get some experts on and talk about business recovery, because by that point we'll be towards the end of July almost, and most businesses will be back open and they've gone through that initial operational challenge that we've been talking about for the last God knows how many weeks. So they'll be thinking about how they grow and how they get in through to the next chapter, whatever that looks like.
Great. Yeah, and give people a chance to ask some questions, come on to it, and we'll give you some more details. We'll get it out via all the different usual channels to let you know what's going to be happening with that. So please do keep an eye out of it. And don't forget, please do like, comment, and share about customer experience R&R. We'd love more people to hear our warblings, but also more importantly hear from the great contributors we have on every week. So please do share as much as possible. Well, I'm Richard Knight.
I've been and, we did it.
The rubbish.
We've been doing this for weeks and we still got it right. Bye.
Bye.